Ashkenaz. Since we have given a description of each of Japheth's sons, we can now move on to 3 sons of Gomer: Ashkenaz, Raphat, and Togarmah. Since, as we have seen, Gomer's land was Phrygia, which implies a significant part of Asia Minor, we can assume that his sons, that is, the lands associated with Phrygia, are somewhere in its vicinity. The first and historically most important son of Gomer is Ashkenaz. Let's immediately say that Ashkenaz is the western part of Asia Minor, up to the Bosporus, and part of Thrace, eastern Thrace up to the Bosporus. Ashkenaz is mainly Troy, Bithynia, and eastern Thrace. Helen's city Troy and Troy were so well known in the ancient world that it is entirely understandable why this part of Asia Minor is distinguished as a separate land, although it formed a complete unity with Phrygia in terms of land and people. It was not fitting to leave the famous Troy in the position of just one province of Phrygia and was emphasized as a separate land. Since the Holy Scriptures speak only of lands, not cities, the name of the city is not taken as the name of the land, even if it was the famous Troy. A broader concept has always been taken, and in this case, it is the land of Ascania. The Hebrew name Ashkenaz literally means Ascania. Ascania got its name from Ascanius, one of the famous ancient rulers of the western part of Asia Minor. It was the land of Ascanius. We are still not entirely clear whether this ruler was called Ascan or Ascanj, and this has remained a mystery for us, as well as for many other writers. A part of Bithynia was called Ascania until Roman times, which has persisted as a habit as a memory of a much broader Ascania. In that region, 2 lakes were named Ascanian Lake, one near the city of Nicaea and the other a little south of it. Pliny mentions Ascanian Gulf in Troy and Ascanian Island, as well as Ascanian Harbor in Aeolus. That Troy and Bithynia were indeed called Ascania is attested by the father of history, Herodotus' predecessor and model, Sibyllinus of Sardis, cited by Strabo. Sibyllinus recorded that the Phrygians, or Brygians, came from Europe after the Trojan War to Ascania, near Mount Berecynthus. In the prophet Jeremiah 1.5:1.27, there is a mention of a king of Ascania, along with the Armenians, threatening Vardan. In the Iliad, Ascanius is the leader of the Phrygians and Maeonians in the war under Troy. Since the Brygians migrated to Asia only after the Trojan War, Homer called them Phrygians, the people from the land of Phrygia, as it was known in his time, that is, in the second half of the 12th century BCE. In this role, Ascanius appears as the leader of tribes from a broader area. William Ramsay believes that, among the Jews, Ashkenaz refers to broader ethnic masses from Asia Minor. In Homer, Bithynia is called the land of Ascanius. It should be noted here that both Troy and Bithynia were the purest Serbian provinces in Asia Minor. In all other regions, there was a certain mixing of peoples, as well as remnants of other nations. Therefore, Ashkenaz is later taken as a distinct characteristic of the Serbs. This was certainly a reason why Arab writers, as mentioned by Boshar, referred to Ashkenaz as Serbs. 2.1.111. Ix. Boshar, in the spirit of his time, says that the Arabs used the name Ashkenaz for the Slavs, but it does not mean Slavs but Serbs, under which they understood all Slavs, as did many other writers. Samuel Boshar and Edward Wells advocate the opinion that the Black Sea had the name Ascanian Sea. Wells says, the general practice among the Greeks was to take a word from a foreign language and, with a slight modification, create their own word from it. Thus, the name, Pontos Axenos, was formed. Later, when the origin of this name was forgotten by the Greeks, they thought it was so named by their ancestors because it was the unwelcoming sea, as uncivilized nations lived on its shores. They modified this name to Pontos Euxinos, 31.ch.51. The Greeks referred to all peoples as barbaros, and used it as a noun, implying that they were unenlightened and unwelcoming, or inhospitable. They considered the inhabitants of the Black Sea shores as such. Pontos, in Greek, means a path, and by this, they implied a waterway, so they called the sea in this way. The word, talasa, waves, which they also sometimes used for the sea, was adopted from the Serbs. The ancient Serbs distinguished 3 types of water. Flowing water that goes somewhere, flows, or leads. These are rivers, from which the Greek word, reo, meaning flowing or stream, originated. This word was reka, calm water illuminated by the sun. This is a ozero or yezero, a lake, and wavy water. This is Mari, the sea. A wave is a larger-sized wave when it acts as a moving fortress because wave, signifies a moving mass or fortress, from which the word Valanka, or phalanx, as the Greeks pronounced it, got its name. The same root and meaning are found in the words naval, navis, and nevi, which actually represent the moving force or fortress that a ship embodies. We have a testimony from Josephus Flavius, adopted by St. Jerome, stating that the Greeks called the Ashkenazim regiones as well. Bede says, Ashkenazi are the Sarmatians whom the Greeks call Reginos. 6.2. ch. 115. Not only Bede, but also Isidore and Jerome repeat, Ashkenaz, a quos Sarmate, quas Greci Reginos vocant. 78.11. p. 1000. In other writings, this name is found as Reginiani. Strabo tells us that a river in Thrace was called Regina. 86. 7. 23. The Greeks used this name for a river in Thrace and the region of ancient Epirus, which corresponds to modern Halkidiki. The inhabitants of Epirus were called Reginians. There is also a region called Reggio in Italy. Therefore, we can conclude that the land of Ascania included, in addition to parts of Western Asia Minor, Eastern and Southern Thrace with Epirus in Europe. The fact that the Ashkenazim were also called by the same name as some tribes in Thrace is easily understood, as these are the same tribes found in Western Asia Minor. Nicola Jorga says, the Bruges were on the right bank of the Danube and they were called Mysians or Mesians by the Greeks and Romans. Strabo found at Helma, Mies, Bitine, Babris, Brege, and Maiwan. 160.1.142. Jorga includes Babris and Brege among the Phrygians. This tells us that the same tribes were settled on both sides of the Straits, the Bosporus and the Dardanelles. This Greek name, Regini, drew attention on the other side as well. Josephus Mede cites Flavius and says, the Ashkenazim are those whom the Greeks call Regini, who have the city of Rhegium on the coast of Italy across from Sicily. 35.ch.280. Some writers have tried to connect the city of Rhegium in Italy with the city of Chalchi on Euboea, instead of with Halkidiki, as the Greeks called Epirus. Even in that case, they did not go far, as the city of Chalchi on Euboea was a city of Thracian Abantes. Obviously, the Greeks named this city Chalchi after the name Halkidiki, as they called Epirus, and from where the Abantes originated. As for how the Serbs named this city, as well as the city of Rhegium, it is unknown to me. Nor do I know if the name of this city had any connection with Epirus in Thrace. However, we should not exclude the possibility of such a connection. Just as Aeneas came from Troy to southern Italy, probably another group came to southern Italy from Epirus, and they founded a city that the Greeks call Rhegium. Aeneas' son and successor were called Ascanius, and he ruled in Latium and perhaps over a broader area in southern Italy. In the early Middle Ages, the Arabs referred to all Serbs and Slavs as Ashkenazim, a practice also followed by the Jews. This name, Ashkenaz, spread from Thrace to Central Europe. Bochar says, Ashkenaz is Bohemia. Germany was largely a Slavic land in the early Middle Ages and the Jews referred to it as Ashkenaz, as they still do today. This indicates that during that time, Jews were either unaware of Germans as a people or, if they were aware, since they constituted a minority in the country, they referred to it by the majority Slavic population, Ashkenaz. In the 19th century, a German professor, Nobel from Gießen, argued that Germans are Ashkenazim. This would imply that at least half of Germans have Serbian origins. Science could prove that at least 2/3 of Germans have Serbian origins. The prophet Jeremiah, 1. Jer. 51.27, prophesies the dire fate of Vardan and the Chaldeans, identifying the kingdom of Ashkenaz, along with Ararat and Mini, Armenians, as the main threat to them. As a secondary danger, he mentions the kings of Media. This tells us that Ascania had a significant reputation among the peoples of the Middle East.